In the last month or so, I was chatting with a newfound friend, and we were talking about being ENFPs, fascinated by everything and trying to find a way to connect with people. But after trying to do that for the last 10 years, one thing I've begun to realize is I'm not actually connected with myself. I'm trying to take all of these things that I'm interested in and I'm trying to connect them with specific niches, specific groups of people. And what slowly keeps happening is I'm finding I am gagging myself or throttling myself from actually doing or saying or talking about the kind of things that I want to talk about. And I have routinely found every time that I actually do that, the most surprising and amazing people come forward when I straight up am able to share the things that I think and the things that I think are important. The people who come forward are the kind of people that I want to be talking to and spending time with. And so that's where I figured maybe now's time to do something a bit different. Instead of trying to find a niche where I'm taking a part of myself and trying to connect it to a cluster of other people, what if I just try to come back home to being me? And that's the point of this channel. So, welcome to whatever this channel ends up being. It's an experiment in progress. Um, there's a couple of different things that I'm hoping I'll be able to accomplish with this channel. One is fun conversations with people that I enjoy chatting with and enjoy meeting with. And because I'm a creative type and a brainstormer, finding new things to get psyched about. I mean, that's just fun. And being able to maybe give somebody a little bit of life in these conversations where we walk around an idea and maybe it sparks something, or maybe somebody listening um, really connects with it. Who knows? But the point is to have the kind of conversations that I want to have that just don't fit anywhere else. And so that sort of comes into the second thing, which is there's this opportunity that we have today. And I'm thinking particularly me, never in the history of humanity has have we been able to record and sort of journal through our progress through video in a way where we can share it with other people. We've never been able to share what we think in so intimate and human a way as a little conversation just like this, which could stay up for 20 years, 50, 100 years. I mean, I'm never going to have enough conversations with my daughter or maybe my grandkids, right? Enough of the conversations that perhaps I think are important. So to be able to start journaling or writing down the things that matter or that are interesting or showing them how I process through things. Um, that's really valuable. Like I have never met my grandfathers. I think I remember my mom's dad, he took me out for ice cream when I was 3. I've never spoken to him. I've never been able to ask him questions. Same with my other grandfather, grew up in Brazil. Never been able, I don't know these guys, don't know these men, who they were, how they thought about life. But with a project like this, with a channel or a diary, not everybody records video. Some people do podcasts or they journal, they write, they blog. Our grandkids, for example, are now able to get to know us and maybe learn from the sanity or maybe the wisdom that we tried to find during this incredible transitional period of human history with everything that's being thrown at what it means to be a human person. So that's a second reason why I think I'd like to start a project like this. A third one is um, there's this line that's used in marketing a lot, and I do marketing for a job. I don't often pay attention to this line, but it is out there. And it goes, what gets measured gets improved. Now, I hate data and measuring and stuff like that. So I'll rephrase it. What you pay attention to, which is the same thing, what you pay attention to is what you improve on. Now, that has been true every day of my life for the last 25 years, where if I found a project or something that I loved and I paid attention to it and I kept working at it, which means continually putting disciplined attention on a thing, growth happens, progress happens, change and improvement. So I'm now realizing, well, I'm not putting any attention on my journey. I'm just like showing up and working hard and trying to keep my family together and keep my job going and maybe try to write. I'm not actually putting any attention on my actual life. So I've been starting to try to do that the last couple of years. And now realizing, what if I were to start journaling that? What if I were to start chronicling those stories, those thoughts, create a space where it's really easy for me to just do stuff. And so that's another reason. And then, of course, what happens is as I start paying attention to myself, like a year from now, I can look back at what was I thinking back then. I have no idea what I was thinking a year before now, 5 years before now. I've got a vague sense of who I was. I didn't document it, I didn't journal it. So, journaling, sharing the journey, documenting process, sharing thoughts, because this then sort of comes to why this matters to me. I am a specific niche. Every one of us is. And I have so many things, fascinated things that I'm fascinated by. I'm interested in things I want to do, that I want to accomplish. And I was having this conversation, I think I said at the beginning of this, with a guy a month ago. And we were talking around this idea of being an ENFP. Now I'm like 51% ENFP and INTJ, I think it is. I can't decide. So, what do you call it? Charismatic, introvert, quiet, extrovert, whatever. I love engaging with people, processing ideas out loud through conversation, but then I need a lot of time internally to be very quiet, to just binge read and watch and think and process. And I keep trying to share the things that really move me, the things that I'm convicted by, where I go foraging out on the fringes of what our culture has normalized. And I want to understand, well, what is all the stuff that we've missed out on? What's the stuff that we've forgotten about? The stuff where maybe there is truth in that stuff that we haven't yet integrated. And our culture is like, I don't know if you, what you call our culture. We're like falling apart, it seems, everywhere. And everybody's answer is to create these bastions and return to fundamentalisms and create cults and tribes and that's the lazy way out. That's the easy way out to try to save the world. Um, there is a better way, and you find all of the old wisdom traditions have that process, which is a return to self, a return to reality, a de-escalating, a return to wisdom. Now that's a whole major conversation. But see, I'm on that path, and I'm trying to discover that. I'm trying to understand. I have a specific religious tradition and background and cultural upbringing, and I'm trying to now meet and understand the rest of the world to find and celebrate what is good and what's already there that's true that I just didn't know about and I want to meet. No matter who they are or what religion they come from, there's good that can be discerned in everything. And that has to be like a baseline attitude that we take. Anyway, so I was talking with his friend and realizing that I get stuck now between these two ridiculous, no, they're not ridiculous, but they are hard to deal with viewpoints. And they're probably trauma reactions from either soft trauma over long periods of time or distinct moments that I don't remember in my childhood. But having this sense of I am too much for a given situation. And I'll routinely be throttling myself in business calls and whatever because I'm afraid what I'm bringing or everything that I would want to have to say is too much. And I'm overwhelming people. I'm over complexifying things. And I'll keep telling myself that. But then when I pull aside somebody I love and I walk them through, am I crazy? Am I over complexifying things? And then they'll go, no, you just thought it through more than they're prepared to. And so that's when I have to then come back to myself and realize I've done the work for the last 25 years of thinking really hard through things and trying to understand things. And I've got a ton to learn. I've got a long way to go for it to be actually whatever. But I have learned stuff that is really helpful, really valuable to people. So maybe I'm sitting in the wrong room. If that is a sense that I am bringing to a table is I got to be careful not to be too much. Maybe I'm sitting at the wrong table. And then there's the other side. I'm not enough. Typical imposter syndrome, which is both sides. So I suffer with that a lot. And I remember once reading only smart people get imposter syndrome. People who I'll just leave that there. Only smart people struggle with it because they're over aware and they're smart enough to have discerned the gap to see where they don't yet know. Now the opportunity of imposter syndrome is to recognize here's the cliff edge of my capacity. That's awesome. I have now found where I can possibly level up and grow. Or maybe it's a matter of prudence to recognize I don't have enough time or life or energy to actually grow in this direction. Maybe it is a boundary and it's okay for me to not be good in that. And instead of reacting with imposter syndrome, we react more with humility. I'm not supposed to go become this kind of specialist. I do have a highway going this way where I am supposed to be paying attention. And so, okay, maybe I need to go focus on that, partner with other people to handle these other things. Um, but being stuck between these two senses of I'm not enough and I'm too much, well, they can't both be true. They can't both be true. They're both compulsive responses they're fearful responses to what I'm perceiving in a moment. So then the question is, am I sitting at the wrong table? Am I dealing with the wrong people? Should I be making my own table? Or should I be sitting at, and trying to work with and meet people where these kinds of responses aren't brought up or where I'm not gaslighting myself within those moments? So that's been going on in my mind. And then realizing maybe I just need to start my own channel where I'm just going to see if I can try to be straight up me and the things that interest me. So we're going to probably talk about books, things that I'm reading, books that have absolutely changed me that I don't know what to do with, but that are now forming me, that are part of how I'm trying to make sense of the world. And they're not just like, oh, this was a cool book, but it's like, no, I'm not the same person now that I've read this book, or this series of books and stuff, either fiction or mostly nonfiction. For a while, I was reading like a book a week, trying to understand. There was so much I didn't understand. I'm now at a point where I'm starting to share my conversion story or share my journey from growing up within a religious cult to trying to engage with religious tradition and faith in the modern world as a Catholic, and then begin to understand what people say and how people talk about this stuff is not the actual reality of the thing that we're all doing. And I want to understand that so that I can talk about it better. Half the time, shut up faster and be more attentive, accompany people with more appropriateness, So there's a lot of things that I would like to accomplish. Cool conversations. I'd like to talk about books. I'd like to do, reacts to things that I'm thinking, just simply live stream my ideas through processes. I'd love the idea of a developer's diary where I've got an idea right now and I might turn it into a video of creating a project around the Saints. I love coming back to them because they're often so misunderstood and they're whatever. Maybe I'll turn that into a series of videos like, here's the idea and here's how I'm going to maybe just build it live. Maybe that's the idea. I don't know. I love writing novels. That's been my first love, is writing fiction, rewilding the imagination. And so, I don't know, having a developer's diary of the books that I'm trying to write, stories that I want to tell and why they matter to me. Like that could be, I think, a really interesting thing to do. So welcome to this channel. Welcome to the journey. And not every video may be for everybody. And not every topic may be for everybody, but there might be pieces of it. And that's how we all relate to each other anyway. Like we don't run around and I 100% approve of every single thing that comes out of this person's mouth or everything they read or think. Like nobody actually operates that way. We all probably agree with 60%, 80%, like really good friends, 90%. There's always a 10% of something that's a little bit off. So I am expecting there will be some topics on this channel where people are like, don't do that, but I'll, maybe this other thing, So I'm fascinated by wisdom traditions and wisdom cultures. I'm fascinated by developments in science and technology and what this means for tomorrow and the future and what kind of world we build, how we can build it to further human thriving and not just do stuff just because it's cool and just because we can. Jurassic Park for you. So wisdom and technology fascinates me. Writing, fiction, and storytelling intrigue me. Understanding how to engage and talk with other people and be able to be a good conversationalist. I think it's not just an art. It can also be a science, but it's a gift to other people. It's a gift to me because it puts me in the mindset of being able to actually learn. So I'm constantly trying to hone my own conversation skills. Um, oh gosh, being able to start documenting what I think for myself, maybe. So 5 years from now, I can come back and go, oh, that's what I was thinking, and here's how I've progressed. Because I'm going to change my opinions. You have, we all have, I got a disclaimer on my website that goes, hey, I reserve the right to change my opinions, kill old articles, and rewrite stuff. If I'm not going to be bound by who I was 5 years ago and that level of development. I think we can get stuck and we can dogmatize when what we put into our diaries, maybe, or what we share online. And I'm going to be straight up and be like, I'm probably going to change my opinions, and I think that's important. So I'm going to stay flexible. So there you go, neuroplasticity, maybe. Um, so many things. I don't even know how to end this video, but creating a space where I'm going to talk about the things that matter. And so here's the final thought that I shared with a friend and that I'll wrap with here. There used to be people like me, people who were interested in everything, who knew a little bit about everything, or maybe a lot of bit about a whole lot of things. There are not a lot of people who sort of evolve that way, who develop or have that capacity, and that's okay. But these people used to be called, I think they were called Renaissance men. And they used to kind of be the cool kids in the culture because they knew something about everything. And because they did that, their insights from a variety of disciplines, the amount of learning transfer that could happen was really, really helpful and interesting. Excuse me. Today, we have a culture of hyper specialization where we need or expect everybody to fit in a specific role and to excel in that role and to be a cog in that role. Now, there are some people who thrive on this and excel in it, and it's for them. The problem is when we have created perhaps a culture around that kind of person. And our human family doesn't exist that way. We have like maybe 9 different themes of how to be human, and each theme wants a specific thing out of life and goes about getting it in a different way. And to have a culture anchored around here's one particular theme and we're all going to be this, well, then everybody else is like either killing themselves trying to fit that mold, or becoming depressed, or just throwing everything away, and we just end up making such a mess of things. But if there are, and I'll say 9 because I like that tradition, if there are 9 distinct kinds of people and they shade into each other, and okay, that's a conversation. 9 different ways of, themes of how to be human. That is really interesting. That means it's okay for me to be me and to want to get specific things out of life, or to be looking for things out of life, and to find that no matter how hard I try, I can't go and be a sort of Wolf of Wall Street person. If I do double down on that, something in me goes away to die. And what if that's not good for me? What if it's actually good for me to be me? And I'll offer that to you too. And this is actually a major thing of all the communities that I run. I want to offer people a space where it's good for you to be you. What if it's important for you to be you, and for you to find your voice, and for you to find the thing that you're good at doing, and to find your own way of navigating through things? And maybe you have to learn the rules of the game so you can do things like pay rent and keep the lights on. Exactly what I have to do too. But in this space of extra time that you have, what if you could lean into finding out what are the things that bring you life? Because where you are most alive is probably why you're here. I want to figure that out for myself. And I'm beginning to get a sense of what that is. And it keeps changing. Or not just keeps changing, it keeps deepening how I do it. I used to think it was writing. I still love writing fiction. But I found more recently, I actually really love learning and conversations with others. And that's when I realized, oh, I love fiction because it's a conversation with me. I'm sitting down for like 6 months in active contemplation with an idea and a set of characters within myself, and I'm gonna talk through that for a novel, space of a novel. So I like talking with myself, and I like talking with other people. And I like finding a way to bring out the best in them. And I like seeing the light go on in their eyes and the life come back into them when it's a cool question or a fun turn in a conversation. But that only comes from trying to be the kind of person that is able to like connect with a whole lot of people, that's able to find things that are interesting across a whole lot of things. So I want to go back to be that kind of person with a variety of interests. And this book that I was reading uh, pulled at it from an evolutionary standpoint, where they were like, from the early days, there were um, you needed different kinds of people. You needed some who were seekers and some who were, I forget the name of the other kind, but I'm more of the seeker kind, or a scanner, the kind of person who can look at the environment and can very quickly notice things, notice details, notice patterns. You get very interested in things very quickly. You find the thing that makes a thing cool and interesting. And then you're also maybe able to then transmit and transfer that energy, that fun over to somebody else. Um, but then that's why our human family, our community is sort of balanced between scanners, and there's a small number of us, and then the majority of us who are more lasered in, more specialist, more focused, more methodical. And so the scanners, their job is like they're icebreakers, right? They go out and they find the things that are interesting and they scan it, they learn it, they see the patterns, they transmit it back, and then they pass it on. When I go and try to be over methodical with my life, something breaks and it stops working. And everybody tells me, oh, you're too much, you're crazy, you're interested in too many things. Why can't you finish things? Okay, I hear that. I think that a lot of scanners, and I have, well, I've not been diagnosed, but I have a lot of ADHD tendencies, which I think I'm getting better at. So I got to speak positively about it. But when I'm too undisciplined, when I'm operating out of a place of fear, when I'm not doing the things that bring me life, then my brain tends to fritz, and I have a lot more ADHD about everything, and I collapse, and all I want to do is just have fun, and I just want to enjoy and get back that life that's in me. But when I calm down and I create a space of peace for myself, and I get back to, okay, I am this specific kind of person, and if I borrow this particular kind of how do you say, the genius that it's okay to be me and to be aware of what I want, but also to balance with, all of that crazy creative energy with, here's a methodical, appropriate way for me to interact with myself and others, to create an ordered space in so that I can balance the chaos that's in me. When I do that, being as somebody who really loves to learn stuff, then something changes, and I love who I become, and I become somebody who's able to, like, for brief moments, step up, lead, say things clearly, share things in ways that really move and inspire others. uh, I'm able to feel a sense of bravery in that I did my homework, I know what I'm talking about, and it's okay, and I feel okay being out at the front, and I'll take the fall, or I will take the hits to protect everybody else, because I know I'm doing the right thing. And I used to be such an introvert, where being in that sort of space of standing up for what I think, I would never do that. I would think it and I would be in love with it. I would never stand up for what I think. And I've been walking around that. So what I just described for the last couple of years is, I'm this kind of person, okay to be and aware of what I am and spending time with that. It's okay to be methodical and organized, but not too much on one side, not too much on the other. Find a way of balance, create a series of daily habits that keep me grounded and keep me sane, keep my family going, keep my job going. Create a space where I can be creative without losing why it all is supposed to matter and how I'm able to connect with other people. I mean, there's a lot of things to balance all at once. And that's where I learned there's a specific gift ENFP types can have. And that's where I'm hoping I can lean into this with this channel. It's a specific superpower ENFPs have, which we probably don't realize. And that's an ability to get into conversation and try to understand or intuit where the person is coming from that we're talking to. And then as we talk to them, we're able to do something crazy. We're able to put a filter in place where we will not just say straight up, here's what I think, independent of context, independent of who you are and where you are in life. I'm just going to tell you exactly what I think. There are a lot of people who do that. How helpful is that? Debatable. there's a specific gift ENFPs can have that I'm trying to learn and that some excel at. And that is the ability to know who I'm talking to and to pick the words and to tailor the idea that I want to share in a way where I think it's going to best land and connect with the person. That is an incredible. When learned that ENFP types can do that, I was so excited and motivated. I didn't realize it was a superpower. I thought it was just something I sort of did normally all the time. But it can be an incredible way to build connection with people because I'm trying not to just, as it says in the Gospels, just share the truth. Because truth shared without love is like a sword that cuts. What does love want? Love wants the betterment of the other. It wants connection to the other. It wants connection for both of us. And so being able to balance those two means you could straight up share whatever your truth is or the truth is. You could straight up do it and you could end up severing a relationship. And well, where's the life in that? Maybe it's better to play the longer game. I love Simon Sinek's sense of the infinite game. That sense of it used to be when all the kids would walk home from school, somebody would start a game with the soccer ball in the street and they would all start playing. But the point of the game was a specific point. The point of the game was to keep playing the game. The point of the game was not to win. Sure, you sort of won, but you would, as a group, do something pretty amazing. You would keep modifying the rules of the game so that people could keep playing, so that more people could be added into the game. So there are games that we play in life where there are clear winners and losers, and there's a reason for those games. But those are small, short games. The infinite game of life and of culture, and I'm going to say of religion, is how do we play a game where people come to life and they can keep playing? And how do we keep doing that in a way that involves more and more people? That's the game I want to play. That's why the communities that I host and the projects that I take on are trying to do that sort of thing. Sure, there's all sort of truths that can be shared, but what if we were to walk around a little more slowly with a little more care and learn from each other without losing ourselves? I love the virtue of radical hospitality. Like, you need help or you need someone to talk to, I'm happy to be there for you. And let's talk about it. And let's have coffee and break bread and do all of that good stuff. But there's a corresponding responsibility from both parties, which is there's radical boundaries. There are ways that we treat each other with respect, and there are ways that we learn to talk to each other where we don't try to alienate, where we don't try to push away and label and dismiss. So as long as there's that trust, that there's goodwill going both ways, and we're open to learning from each other, there are a lot of wonderful conversations that can have. And so we'll see. Like I say, that's what I'm hoping to accomplish with this channel. So I just listed off a whole load of things that all of which interest me, and there's probably a whole lot more. And I would love to know what comes through your mind, or if you have any thoughts, I'd love to build this journey with you. But this is going to be a space where I talk about the things that fascinate and interest me and where I'm processing, and hopefully you enjoy the journey along with me.